whenever you're a home inspector, you're always looking for a USP, which is a unique selling point or niche, right? So if you're able to offer a product, which is an 18-month premium home warranty that covers more things and is less expensive, that product's going to be attractive to people. And if the only way that they can get it is by doing a home inspection with you, all of a sudden you got a niche or a USP.
Yes.
So I'm not going to say that we get tons and tons of inspections just because of the warranty, but I can promise you this right now. Ever since we started offering the 18-month warranty, we've had record sale after record sale after record sale. And then this year alone, we've already surpassed what we did all of last year. So we're going to have a positive quarter of sales growth this year.
That's wonderful.
And the warranty is one, piece of the puzzle, as well as all the other things that we do. But if you're going to have a menu of services and products, this is a great product to have on the menu. Absolutely.
Yeah, we find from the sales side too, cooperating with and co-marketing, so to speak, with our top home inspectors. Our salespeople generate more business. They probably generate some business for you because they're out calling on their accounts, their realtors, basically with your information. And that's another part of this circle that was been created that helps the home inspector, the warranty sales, the realtor obviously, and the homeowner too. So they all benefit. I was at a seminar recently, and that seminar, at the seminar, there was a CEO of the largest independent and most exclusive real estate organization here in Indianapolis, been in business a long time. And he was one of the speakers, and he came up with a big surprise to me. He said that one of the challenges, biggest challenges they had last year in 2017 was deals that fell through. And he came out with a percentage. I might ask you what you think the percentage might be, but I thought it was a high percentage of deals that fell through for this big company. And what do you think he said?
It's probably 20 to 25%.
You're pretty close. See, it was 27%. 27% of their deals fell through in 2017. And then he came with a statement right behind it, which shocked me, how he could actually come out and say this, because I feel he's wrong. He said that the majority of those deals were dropped because of the home inspections. And I about lost it, but anyhow, tell us about that.
I'll just say this. The two biggest reasons that deals fall through is the results of the home inspection, obviously, and financing. So those are the two biggest reasons. And I will submit to everyone watching this video that there's no reason for a home inspection ever to kill a deal. It's not the home inspection that kills the deal. It's the timing of the home inspection. Because here's what's wrong with the way traditional real estate is sold. First and foremost, the buyer is in charge of the negotiations. I know if I'm selling something, I want to be in charge of negotiations. But what happens is the house gets put on the market, the buyer gets an accepted offer, and then they have an inspection done at the 11th hour. And then I go out as a home inspector and I might find roofing issues, mold issues in the attic, termites in the basement, plumbing problems, electrical problems. All of a sudden there's $5,000 to $10,000 worth of things to deal with. And one of three things basically happen, Arnie. The nightmare scenario, which he's talking about, 27% of the time, the deal can get killed, right? And that's terrible for everybody. It doesn't just affect realtors, and that's what drives me crazy. It affects the home inspector too, because what happens is in the heat of the moment, the realtor's upset. I mean, they're counting on that closing to feed their family and pay their bills, right?
That's right.
And in the heat of the moment, they'll sit around, not all of them, some of them, and not all the time, just some of the time, but they'll talk about how the home inspector killed the deal. Now, if you get labeled a deal-killing home inspector in a real estate office, that is not good. And I have 38 families to feed, so I can't afford to be labeled a deal-killing home inspector, right? And so as a home inspector, you're going out and you're trying to fully disclose everything that's going wrong with the house. But you're kind of walking on pins and needles too, because it's like you don't want to freak people out or get known as that deal-killing home inspector. So that's a lot of unnecessary pressure to the home inspector. So when deals fall through, it doesn't just affect realtors, it affects home inspectors. But you know who else it affects? It affects that seller. Now that seller has to, one, make
Start
more
over.
mortgage payments, right, and start all over. But what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is they're really counting on that closing to buy their dream house, to buy the next house. So now, because of the timing of the home inspection, it didn't maybe just kill one deal, it could kill 2 or 3, a chain reaction, right? And now people not even associated with that real estate transaction are affected. But you know who else it affects? It affects the buyer. The buyer spends money on an inspection. They spend money on an appraisal. They spend money on environmental testing. They spend money on well and septics. They take time off of work to be at that inspection. They have at least $1,500 to $2,000 wrapped up in that home buying process. And if they're walking away from the deal, then they wasted all that time and money. And then what about the poor mortgage guy? That mortgage guy is counting on the closing to feed his family and pay his bills. And then the title companies. This is not good for the title companies. They do searches on the buyers, they do searches on the sellers, they do searches on the house. And when the deal falls through, they don't even charge for all that work. They actually lose money.
That's right.
So, that's the nightmare scenario, and that's
That's right.
not good. And, for any real estate agent that's listening to this, I would also submit to you that, most deals will close. We all admit that, right?
Right, most of them do.
They do. But does that mean it was a great experience for that seller and that buyer?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, because the seller reluctantly agreed to close because he needed that dream house, but he didn't get what he wanted for the house. So now he's upset. And then the buyer, they closed, but there was probably some things that they wanted to have fixed that didn't get fixed. So it wasn't necessarily a great real estate transaction for either one. And there was a lot of stress and anxiety and anger during the whole process. And so what I always ask real estate agents is, how often have you sold a house to someone and then years later they listed it with someone else? Why is that? Maybe you lost contact with them if you're an agent, but maybe they just didn't have a great experience and they wanted to try someone else the next time. So, even when deals close, I don't think it's the greatest experience.
Well, I think that that realtors obviously always want the smoothest possible transaction they can get for that one reason, for the referrals. Plus, they've actually become friendly with their clients and they're friends, and they want these things to happen and happen smoothly.
In my humble opinion, one of the things that we can do in order to end some of the anger and anxiety and stress often associated with the home buying and selling process, and to eliminate deals from falling through, is to have a pre-sale home inspection done for the seller before an offer is accepted.
So tell us some of the benefits, Dave, you feel of the pre-sale inspection.
Well, here's the deal. If a seller is getting a pre-sale home inspection done, it's going to put them in charge of the negotiations versus the buyer. Because as we discussed, the buyer says, okay, I have my home inspection done on the 11th hour. I want this, this, and this fixed, or I'm not buying the house. Well, if a seller knows about these things up front, the seller can say, hey, look, in the interest of full disclosure, here's everything that I know that's wrong with the house. I'm going to fix this, this, and this. I'm not going to fix anything else. Please make your offer accordingly. So now a seller is in charge of the negotiations. But here's the biggest benefits. They're going to save a ton of money. First and foremost, they're able to budget and plan accordingly. They can build the repair cost into the price of the house. If they know that they have, $5 or $10,000 worth of repairs, then maybe they can build that into the price, or maybe they don't come down as much, or they don't give as much closing cost assistance, right? But once an offer is accepted, they can't go back and change the price to cover the cost of repairs. The other benefit is, you've been around a long time, you know that in the 11th hour, when repairs are needed, these contractors know that everybody's in a rush, and they charge premium pricing. So if a seller knows about these things up front, they can shop around and get better repair pricing, which will save them a ton of money. And then the other benefit, which is really huge, especially for a seller that is handy, is they can make repairs themselves. It could be something as simple as a GFC eye outlet, right? And if they know about it up front, they can go buy the outlet for 10 or 15 bucks and install it themselves. But once an offer is accepted, now the buyer and that agent's going to require a licensed electrician to put it in, or the lender will require it to be done by a licensed electrician. So knowing about things up front helps put the seller in charge of the negotiations, and it can save them a ton of money.
A friend of mine recently had a pre-sale inspection, and there were 13 items. There were something like 19 or 20 items. A lot of them were small. 13 of those items, they had their handyman, who happened to be a neighbor, lives across the street. he took care of 13 of those items for like about $300. And so now when they showed that, they showed the inspection report up front. They showed that they had repaired, I think, 17 or 18 items, so 13 of which cost them $300. But they showed that they were repaired.
Absolutely.
So it was great.
It just helps smooth out the whole process, because now, as a real estate agent, when the pre-sale inspection is done, most of those things are caught. And if a buyer comes in with their inspector, I'm not going to say it's going to be exactly the same, but all the deal breakers should get caught. And now you're taking a list of what could have been 15 or 20 items down to maybe 2 or 3. That makes life a lot less stressful for everybody.
That's right.
Here's the other thing it does for the real estate agents. You know this, and any real estate agent says they haven't done it, it may not be truthful. But they'll dip into their own pockets just to get deals to close. I've had realtors call me and say, you know, me and the other agent have to pay for this radon system. Can you sharpen the pencil, right? So they're taking money out of their own commissions just to get deals to close. And when we do a pre-sale inspection, that virtually goes away.